Hi guys, welcome to The Bite. My name is Jackie. Today I'm going to kind of start a series of holiday dishes that I'm going to be sharing with you in the next coming weeks to gear up for Thanksgiving and the Christmas season. Right now I'm sharing with you potatoes gratin or potato au gratin, scalloped potatoes, whatever you call it. This is how we always make it. Well, I have made a few changes to how my family always made it, but nonetheless, it's delicious. It's very decadent, it's cheesy, and it's creamy, and it's everything you want in a potato dish for the holidays. So let me show you what you're gonna need. So I have some russet potatoes here. I have heavy cream, a little bit of poultry seasoning, and nutmeg, 1 clove of garlic, some milk, flour, butter, salt, and pepper, and then I have a whole bunch of cheese here. This is a mixture of gruyere, which is very, very common in a scalloped potato recipe or potatoes au gratin, and it really gives the flavor that it should have. I also have some Parmesan cheese, which is something that I added, and also I have a little bit of the just store-bought shredded Italian cheeses. This is like a mixture of 6 different cheeses, which has like mozzarella, provolone, Asiago, things like that, and I think it goes really well in this dish. You can really use whatever you want, but I highly recommend at least using gruyere because it just makes it what it is. So what I do is I start by making the cream sauce that goes over all the potatoes. So let's head to the stove and get that going. So we're gonna start by making the creamy sauce that goes over all the potatoes. So in here I have my large pot with a little bit of butter, and we're gonna make kind of a roux. So I have a couple tablespoons of flour, and I find that any more than this amount kind of brings it into like bechamel sauce territory, and that's not really what I'm going for. I want it to be a little bit lighter, quite a bit lighter than bechamel sauce, so that it's not so thick. So I just want to add the flour to the melted butter and give it a mix. And the goal here is to get rid of that raw flour taste. So you want to make sure that all that raw flour is gone. So I like to use a whisk. Hopefully you can hear me, but the goal is to just make sure that it's all coated and that raw flavor is cooked out before we add in all the liquid. All right, and that just takes about 30 seconds or so. So I am ready to add in my milk and the heavy cream. I actually want to mix this one more time. And this is going to help, so this is a roux, and this is going to help thicken up the sauce. And I find that little bit of flour really helps to coat all the potatoes, and that gives it that really creamy richness that I love in potatoes gratin. So I'm gonna add both the heavy cream and the milk, or this is the heavy cream, and then mix this so that I know all the flour at the bottom of the pot is incorporated into the liquid. I'm going to add in some poultry seasoning and some nutmeg. So the nutmeg is really common in cream sauces like this. Poultry seasoning is my family's addition because we just really like to use it all year round. And I find that it goes really well with potato dishes. Even like mashed potatoes, I'll add it in there. So just a little bit, but a little bit goes a long way here. And it gives the dish a lot of flavor along with some garlic. So I like to use just 1 clove, and I grate it in with like a zester or a really fine grater. I know there's a lot of memes out there that say, oh, when the recipe says 1 clove of garlic, I add 4 or 5. You don't really want to do that here because it's going to overpower the dish, and that's all you're going to taste. Believe me, if you grate it in like this, you will taste this garlic, I promise you. So try it. Try not to add any more than I'm recommending, unless it's like a really small clove. But yep, these big pieces, I'm not even gonna add those in because that'll overpower it. So I'm just gonna add that right in. And I do wanna add salt and pepper to this as well, but I just wanna get this going real quick. All right, so this has been sitting for a little bit. I did add some salt and pepper to it, and I want to keep whisking it periodically to make sure that the flour that's at the bottom doesn't scald and burn. I want to make sure that everything is incorporated, and I have to give it a taste to make sure the seasoning is right because this is really going to be the base flavor for the whole dish. And to me, that is good to go. I'm gonna bring this over to the table so we can start assembling our gratin. So I have my cream mixture right here cooling down just a bit, and I am going to slice up my potatoes. You could use a mandolin for this because you do want them pretty thin and even, but you want it to be almost see-through like this, as best as you can get it. I prefer to chop it by hand instead of using a mandolin. Even though I have one, I just really don't use it. I just get nervous with that, but once they're chopped, you want to layer them so that they are kind of folding on top of each other, and that way it covers the entire bottom surface. Like all the surface area is going to be covered with the potatoes. So I want to finish chopping these. I may end up using a 5th potato, depending. We shall see. But again, you want it to just be as even as possible, so that way they bake evenly. Then from here, I take my cream mixture and I just pour it over the potatoes, like so. And this is going to make it nice and creamy, give it so much flavor. And then I want to mix all the cheeses together and then add that right on top and continue layering. This is basically like a potato and cheese lasagna. Let's just put it that way. So it's about 1/3 of the cheese mixture. Looking good. I'm gonna start peeling, slicing, and keep it rolling. So I am just finishing up my last layer here, and then we can add all the rest of the ingredients. 4 potatoes worked out perfectly fine for me, but the size of the potatoes that you're using, you may need to have 1 or 2 extra. So yeah, we're just gonna finish this all off. And I want to, now this is the top, so you wanna make sure that it's getting a good amount of everything. And oh man, this cream sauce smells so good. I can really smell that 1 clove of garlic, believe it or not. And I want every little last bit of the cream sauce in here. I'm even gonna get a spatula and get it all out. All right, so that last little bit is in here. Looking good. And now we can top it off with the cheese. And this is the cheese that's gonna go on top and get bubbly and golden brown and make it look so beautiful. I can't wait. So this is gonna go into an oven covered with aluminum foil at 375 for 45 minutes to an hour. And you wanna make sure that once you remove the aluminum foil, that the potatoes are fork tender. Once they are, you can remove the foil and then just let the top get golden brown, which shouldn't take much longer from there. And then you're ready to eat. Although you do want to let this rest for a little bit once it comes out of the oven, because like a lasagna, it can all kind of just fall apart. You need to let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes before you dig into it. We'll see how much patience I have, but with that being said, this is gonna go in because I can't wait any longer, and then we're gonna eat. They are finally out of the oven. I have been waiting for this moment for the last hour and 15 minutes or so. So they were in at 375 for about 45 minutes to an hour, probably closer to an hour. The potatoes were fork tender, and once that happened, I removed the foil that I originally had on there. And the foil just helps keep the heat in and helps cook the potatoes. When you remove the foil, it allows the top to brown. So when I removed it, I broiled it for 2 to 3 minutes until it got a nice golden crust like this. And I let it sit for maybe 3 minutes. That's good enough. It's good enough. We'll call it even. So just look at this. I'm just gonna take a little bit because I don't wanna ruin the whole thing, but my goodness, look at this. It is just creamy, delicious. You can see it's still kind of bubbling and it's still pretty hot, but you know what? Can't handle the heat, stay out of the kitchen, right? I'm ready. This is a potato dish worthy of being on your holiday table. The best potatoes gratin I have ever had. The gruyere is essential here. And to me, so is the poultry seasoning. It really does a lot to flavor the entire dish. Because remember, that cream sauce is really gonna be in every single bite, and so is all that cheese. And it's just heaven, just heaven. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The ingredients and the directions, as usual, are on my blog, and you can find that in the description box. It's the first link down below. And follow me on Instagram and Facebook to get involved with what I post, especially during this holiday season. And with that said, we will see you next time on The Bite.